I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, do you believe in aliens? Well, I've got a guest who's coming up right now on Spotlight who just might change your mind. He has written an awesome book, an amazing book. It is called On Edge. His name? Apollo Perez, and he is taking a deep dive into the captivating realm of extraterrestrial encounters and the human psyche. When an eccentric mechanic with an unparalleled imagination crosses paths with advanced aliens seeking a bodyguard, an unexpected transformation ensues, leading to intrigue and speculation of a prophetic nature. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight, and we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing this wonderful book. Apollo, thanks so much for joining us here on Spotlight.
My pleasure.
It is October. It's Halloween month. This is the month we really do want to believe in things that go bump in the night, whether they're ghosts or aliens. So let me start out with the big question. Do you believe there is life beyond this planet as we know it?
Well, that question, wow, that opens up a really big topic. And there's a lot of speculation, a lot of people talking about this. And as I grew up in a farm in South Texas, I mean, I was exposed to the openness. And when you walk outside at night, your mind really kind of drifts, and it brings you to the subject, the topic that you just mentioned. Do you believe in something like this? And certainly that crosses your mind. Even when you're in your teens, your mind really wants to believe in something like this because, like everybody else, you believe that how can all this openness and it's just us? And then your mind starts to develop different ideas, attitudes, and especially when you're out there in the middle of nowhere, you really have a different perspective for the people, that are in the city, and there's so much going on, activities and all that. Out in the farm, there's growing up, I mean, there's your mind really takes off, and that's where I got these stories.
Wonderful, wonderful. A farm is a great place to let your imagination run wild. You're looking up at that huge sky above you, all the stars, all the planets, the meteors that are flying by, and you
Right.
say, how can we be the only inhabited planet? I think that's a question that a lot of people ask. A lot of people come to the same conclusion that you and I
Right.
seem to have come to, is that we're probably not alone. One of those planets at least has to have human life. And now it seems like the US government is actually being more forthcoming, saying, yeah, there are crabs out there we've come across, and we're not sure how to account for them. So
Correct.
this is a great time for this book, On Edge, to come out. Let's give the folks at home the big picture. What's the book about?
Well, it's like the way I described the main character. He has the same ideas, the same imagination, because the main character is actually a field mechanic, and he works on equipment. And a lot of his job requires him to go outside the city. And as he's out there, it's the end of the day. All the mechanics, everybody shuts everything down, and they write out the reports of what needs to be fixed, what needs to be looked into, and that's what his job is. And once he's done with his job, the sun is dipping down in the horizon. It's time for him to leave, and he steps back and he realizes, the same subject that we talked about earlier, that, are we the only ones out here? But something happens because the main character, for years, he has had that idea coming at him quite often, and more as the years pass, it's becoming more and more focal on this point. And he starts thinking, there is something going on because I keep seeing flashbacks, visions, and he actually wakes up in the middle of the night with these dreams, and it is so real. And so when he's out there, he knows there's something about this. Why am I feeling all this? And he starts realizing, am I really who I am? Am I really, just a regular human being here in this planet? Or did I come from someplace else? Because I see so many things. And that's where the story takes off, because he is immediately contacted by an extraterrestrial. And once he realizes this is his destiny, because all his dreams, everything, all these visions, they're all leading to something. And when he sees the extraterrestrial, he realizes this is it. It's coming to a point. I need to find out what's going on. What's all this about? And he is not terrified. He's not scared. As a matter of fact, in some of his visions, he realizes that when he sees these things, his attitude needs to change, more of a loving, compassionate type of attitude, and that's what these people are, and that's what it's telling him. And so when they arrive and they greet and they talk and they explain that his presence is required in a command ship not that far away, he's thinking, oh wow, like anybody else, wow, he really wants to go. He knows there's something about this. He needs to get down and find out what's going on. And he doesn't believe he's going to get in trouble because they're requesting his presence. And so he takes the steps, goes with them, and he realizes in order to become somebody important, he doesn't want them to run tests on him like we hear, from way back then. He wants to be important, and if he becomes important, they're going to look at him as like an addition to their society. And that's where the story really takes off. He learns their ways, their methods, how they live, how they travel, how they think, what they eat, how their relaxation time. He learns all about this. And they teach him that in order for him to exist in their world, he needs to transform into the mentality, everything in order to exist with them. And they also tell him something which is in the book, that he is what they call a star seed. A star seed is someone that is actually from out there and came here to Earth and incarnated into a human being for the experience of what is life as a human being. And then when they pass on, they go back to where they came from. And this star seed idea that they tell him, it's quite intriguing. They really believe he is somebody else and he has a destiny to fulfill as this other star seed that's inside of him. So, in other words, he has somebody inside of him that is guiding him, and that's how he goes through the whole story, his life and everything. He's being driven by somebody inside of him, and he is along for the ride. And he's like you and I, like, wow, check this out. Wow, the different places he sees, the scenery, the how they travel, what they do, and he's so blown away. And these extraterrestrials see him as an addition, and they think that he has special abilities because of the star seed that's in him. And he looks at himself like, I'm just a regular human being from Earth. I mean, what am I doing here? And his inner voice is telling him, you need to get out of here. You're getting way over your head. And
Exactly.
that's where the title comes from. He's always on edge. Throughout the whole story, he's always on edge. And that's basically
wonderful.
what the
It's a
story's about.
great premise, this story. You have created another world, which is the job of any good author. And an ordinary man trapped in extraordinary circumstances always makes a wonderful, wonderful tale. And you have done that. Have you envisioned this as a movie?
Actually, I did. It wasn't at the very beginning. I was just compelled to write this because I had basically the same ideas as I described earlier. Growing up in a farm, with him being a field mechanic, being out there in the middle of nowhere. It was basically the ideas that I came up with, and really as a movie, it wasn't at first an idea, but as the story was going on, I started realizing, this is a great story for for a good publishing company to look into, because this story is really it's very captivating. And it needs to be exposed. And what a better way is than having it into a movie. And this would be really a real good subject.
Absolutely. I think, like I said, you've created a whole other world here. Everybody, the mechanic is basically in every man. Any one of us could be that mechanic who wakes up from these dreams, who has these encounters. And that's why it captures everyone's imagination is because you have that vicarious thrill of walking in the mechanic's shoes as he
Right.
explores this other world.
I
Well,
believe, I
go
believe
ahead.
I believe that's in everybody, and a lot of these. Well, like the general public, as I've been exposed to a lot of, I've been places, and this has been kind of like what people believe in. You know, it just takes just a little bit for someone to start something, for people to start believing in something that is so extraordinary. Extraterrestrials, that is a subject that a lot of people kind of like steer away from because it's well, it's something so different. It's a different mind, different thinking, and people would like to get started in that idea. And then once that starts, then I believe you captured their imagination, because yeah, it's possible.
It is possible. It's very possible they could be among us right now. For all you know, I'm an alien. You never
Oh,
know. I've been accused of being an alien before.
well, turn that around because of what I have described. I know a lot of what has been happening, and my book actually delves into the imagination of dimensional thinking. So I described in my story how these extraterrestrials believe they exist in the fifth dimension. And that is something that, well, a lot of people don't think about little things like that. But yeah, there's a dimensional thinking, and that's how time changes. And he talks about a crack in time, uh, and people that exist in this other dimensions, you actually can't see them. It's a different frequency, different dimensional.
Amazing. It's an incredible story. It is called On Edge. It
On
is
edge.
written by Apollo Perez. He takes a deep dive into the captivating realm of extraterrestrial encounters, and he pairs an eccentric mechanic with an advanced group of aliens. It is an amazing story. It is a book you won't want to put down. And Hollywood, if you're listening, this would be a terrific film.
Exactly.
Apollo, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
My pleasure.
Pleasure is all mine, sir. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight. And On Edge is available everywhere books are sold, including
Right.
Amazon. The links are below.